Think about these in the moment mindfulness techniques. And over the years of working with people, what's become apparent is some people really like the meditation part of mindfulness, and they're quite happy to do 20 minutes, half an hour a day, or every other day. They can find the time and they like to, and that's wonderful. And if that's you, brilliant. I encourage you to do that, absolutely. But some people, particularly if I'm working with people with anxiety disorders, phobias, things like, it's very difficult to relax and let go for a long period of time. So these in the moment techniques become more important to people who can't or don't like to meditate for a long time. But also, like I say, they become important because out there in the busyness of everyday life, often we get swept away with situations, and then it's only afterwards we go, oh, I wish I could have done something differently then. So these in the moment techniques are designed, if we're mindful enough to remember to do them, that's the first hurdle. But if we're mindful enough to remember to do them, they do offer a chance for us just to change. And I'll use a couple of terms here that are based upon the research that's been done over the past 30 years in mindfulness. These techniques have been shown to change our biological state. So that's quite interesting. The studies have shown that they will change things like blood pressure, brainwave patterns, heart rate, digestion, immune system even. Mindfulness boosts the immune system, which in this day and age is very important. So it helps to bring us to a healthier biological state, but also it helps to change our mindset. And I think that's the crucial element here. The term is mindfulness. You'll hear me talk a lot about mind, body, and emotion because we separate them artificially. They're all combined and it's very holistic. And if you want to put spiritual in there, then that's great. That could be part of your journey too. But a change of mindset is important. When we're under pressure, often we go to the negativity mindset. I can't do this. I'm not going to finish it on time. I'm not going to get this job. Everybody else is better than me. And so we can easily cycle into that negativity mindset. We can use the techniques like we're going to practice in a moment, just to move us into a more, even if it's not a positive mindset, because that's a big jump going from a negative to a positive, but there is a nice space in between, which is just a neutral space. Can we just come away from the negative and let's just be neutral and just be grounded and just be accepting of ourselves and the moment so that we can deal with it. And so there's lots of these, there's no sort of textbook on them. You can change them as you want to. You can try different things out for yourselves. But there's 2 or 3 very common ones that have had a lot of research performed on them that have been shown to be really, really useful. And I'm going to show you them in a moment, but I'll have to stretch them out a little bit longer so that I'm explaining to you at each stage what we're doing and why we're doing it. But if you liked what we're doing, what you can simply do is truncate them back down. And so really these in the moment techniques you want to last for 90 seconds up to no more than 5 minutes. But it depends on which type you're doing. And it depends on the situation, of course. So obviously, when we do any mindfulness technique, what we're trying to do is bring the state of mindfulness. So remember, the state of mindfulness is one where we are fully present in the moment. We're not so concerned about the past or future or any other worries. We're letting go of all the to-do lists and things like that. We'll get back to those when we can. But there's also some key ingredients that we want to bring to our mindfulness state as well. One of those is trying to let go of any judgments. And this is a crucial part of mindfulness, letting go of judging ourselves. So if you have a little voice in your head that say, am I doing this right? Doesn't seem to be working for me. That's the judgmental voice. Just let go of that. It's not meant to be like anything to you. Our job is to experience it, not to evaluate it. So a slightly different mindset. Coupled with that, of course, is acceptance. So we want to try to accept ourselves, not judge ourselves, but also not judge other people or the situation that's going on around us. We've taken an observer stance. We're witnessing events rather than being involved in them and evaluating them as we go. So we're just taking a step back. And so there's a couple of others that you'll hear me say, particularly when we get to the meditation. One is gentle curiosity, which is where we want to notice just neutral things that are going on around us. We're going to connect to sounds, to textures, to temperature. Pointing the mind at these very neutral things means that the body and the emotions will also come to a neutral place. If you're using mindfulness before an exam, for example, and your mind's whirring away thinking about how much revision you've done and what questions are going to be on the paper, the more we can point the mind at the neutral things going on around us, the more the body and emotions will calm down too. So that's some of the techniques we'll be using. So there's some words, and I'll come back to some more before we do the meditations as well. But let's try a few of these right now if you're happy to. So when you do these out in everyday life, it may be that you're just taking a bit of a time out, and you might be sitting, standing, walking. It doesn't matter. You can do them in any way. Usually out there in the moment, you won't have a chance to close your eyes, but where you are now, you might want to close your eyes. That's perfectly fine. Certainly when we do the meditations, I'll invite you to close your eyes because we're trying to get to a deeper state when we do those. But if you want to keep your eyes open, that's fine. But in essence, we're going to take a minute or two out to do one technique, and then we'll pause and just switch the mind and onto something else, then do another one, and then we'll see if we've got time for a third one as well. So the first technique that we're going to look at today is a very powerful technique, particularly for procrastination, and particularly if your mind is wandering and worrying away on other things and it's hard to focus. And it's called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. And you can change this up any way you want. I'm just going to give you an example of it today. But we're going to basically, I'll call out 5 things for us to notice, 4 things, 3 things, 2 things. And then when you get to number 1 is always the one thing you have to do right now. So if you were using this before writing a chapter of an assignment, for example, then the one thing would be, right, focus on the chapter, let's get some words down. Today, of course, hopefully you're not doing any assignment while we're doing this. We want a time out. So today, when we get to number 1, the one thing I'd like you to do is to try to let go of any to-do lists, any schedules, any judgments you might have, any thoughts of evaluating yourself, or even the technique we've just done. Just try to let it all go, just for a brief moment, and just relax into now. And we'll have 30 seconds or so just trying to have a nice, relaxed period. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the one thing now, let go, relax. And I'll guide you through the 5 as we go around. So let's start with eyes open. And then when we get to number 4, if you want to close your eyes at 4, you can do. But to begin with, we're going to do sights. So I'll guide you around. I want to do it quite quickly. And when I ask you to notice things, if you want to, it's a good idea to label the things you're noticing in your head. So you're filling that space up so there's less room for it to wander and worry. So wherever you are right now, let's try this and get to number 1, let go and relax into now. So first up then, let's see 5 different objects that you can see wherever you are right now. So I'm naming them in my head. So I've got the 5. So if you want to close your eyes, please do so. No requirement to. But the next thing then, please, let's go for 4 sounds that come and go in the next few moments. And it might be that you have to really push your awareness to hear some quiet, distant sounds. That's good. That's what we want to do with mindfulness. But hopefully you've got 4, so let's go to number 3, please. Number 3 is 3 different textures that you can touch and feel around you now. It can be anything. I've got the texture of my laptop, and then I've got the desk, which is a grainy wood, and then I'm just going to use my jeans as the third thing there. Just 3 things to feel. Then we're down at number 2, please. So at 2, we're going to notice 2 different parts of the body. Firstly, can you notice a part of the body that's quite cool for you right now? For me, it's around my ankles. Maybe they're a little bit exposed. And then the second part of the body, please, is now a warmer part of the body. And for me, it's my chest and shoulder areas that I can feel the warmest. And then we're down to number 1, please, which remember we said was number 1, the one thing we need to do now. Let's try to let go of the things we don't need right now. Let's just take 30 seconds to drop the shoulders, to relax, to release any tension. Just enjoy being right here, right now. Good. And if you've got your eyes closed, you can open them now. Let's just try to bring out with us that sense of calmness, that sense of letting things go. We'll have time this afternoon if we need to pick up any of those things. But for now, it's okay to drop these things. It's okay to be in a nice, calm, relaxed state, freeing up the capacity to be mindful, to be present, to be grounded. And that's what mindfulness is all about. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, hopefully you can see that that can be very useful. And like I say, you can tailor that, change it to whatever you need it to be. But it's just a nice way of starting the mind noticing lots of broad things and bringing it closer and more inside of ourselves until we're ready then for the one thing we've got to do right now. I teach this for presentation nerves, for example. If people, when I'm teaching trainee teachers, before they have to do classes and things like that, it's really, really good to use in any situation. Now, interestingly, and hopefully what you have noticed is when we got to number 1, which was to let things go and to calm down and relax, actually, you might have had a heightened sense of awareness of the other things too. And I have. Obviously, I've been practicing mindfulness for 23 years now. So, it's a long journey. But certainly when I did that today, the sounds, the birds that I could hear outside of my house, I didn't hear them in the 10 minutes before this session started. But certainly once we'd calmed down, they became more and more apparent. And hopefully you felt something similar too. And that's part of the power of mindfulness. We might slow things down, focus the attention on one thing, but it also gives us extra capacity to notice the other things going on around us too. And the evidence for mindfulness is powerful, and it shows that not only is mindfulness good for stress, anxiety, depression, they're the 3 biggest areas that have been studied, but actually this mindfulness underpins, such a vast array of health, mental health, well-being issues, which is why, of course, and I'm a psychologist, a lot of therapies themselves, when you dig into them at a deeper level, they actually have some forms of mindfulness, even if they don't call it mindfulness as such. So there's a good one to use, and you can use that any way you like, and that's good. The next one we're going to try then just for a couple of minutes now, and then we'll return back to it in the meditation, is probably the other in the moment technique which has the most evidence behind it, which is mindful breathing. And breathing, of course, has had a long association with mind, body, emotional and spiritual techniques, including mindfulness and meditation, of course. And so the breath is really important, but also think the breath is important for sports. It's important for music. It's just a central, fundamental component. And one of the reasons for that is because the breath is one of the few things which is both automatic, so the body will take care of it most of the day without us even being aware, but it is also something which we can control. And so a lot of the research in mindfulness has been very interested in when we control our breath, what effect does that have on subsequent biological and even brain systems? And the research is fascinating in this area. And so the breath that I'm going to show you today brings a state which is called the state of psychophysiological coherence. And that's just a fancy way of saying psycho, mind, physical, body, mind-body coherence. So when we do this breath, it's just bringing our mind and body systems together in a healthy way. Interesting, when we study athletes and people who get into the zone or the state of flow, their breathing rate goes to this rate that I'm going to show you today. And it's the only time that a human's breath will go to that rate unless we're actually consciously controlling it. So if you want to give this a go now, then please join in with me. Again, you can have your eyes closed if you like for this one, or you can leave them open. But we'll just take a minute or two, and it's just nice to get into this, and we'll feature it in the meditation as well. So with mindfulness, the first thing you always have to do is pause and notice how things actually are before you try to bring a positive change. So together, let's just pause. And we started off by noticing things outside of us with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. With this one, we're going straight inside of ourselves. Can you notice, please, your natural breath rhythm? Try not to change it. But just let the body take care of breathing all by itself. And our job is just to observe it. Now, can we notice, please, the pace of this natural breath? Is it fast for you? Is it slow for you? No judgment, no evaluation. It is whatever it is. Let's have a look at the depth of the breath. Is it a deep breath for you, your natural one right now, or is it quite a shallow breath? And can you notice, please, the way the body is moving with this natural breath? Probably just a gentle rise and fall. So we've noticed how things are. It's quite interesting, even when we just be mindfulness on how things are, mindful of how things are, we tend to start to slow down anyway. So that's part of the benefits of mindfulness. But now we're aware of our natural breath, we're in a great position to make a change to it and to notice that change. So some of you have been with me before and know the mindful breath rhythm. So if you want to get straight into that rhythm, please do so. But if you're brand new, the mindful breath rhythm is simply a breath that's around 4 or 5 seconds on the in-breath and 4 or 5 seconds on the out-breath. Now that's a big breath, so just make sure it's comfortable for you, and there's no need to go beyond 5 seconds at all. 5 seconds is the peak, but just try to get to a nice rhythmical breath that's the same on the in-breath as it is on the out-breath, and around 4 or 5 seconds if you can get there. Now it's called the mindful breath because you don't breathe this way by accident. You have to consciously force it, and so your mind is forced to the present moment. There's less room for it to wander away and worry when you're breathing in this way. So focus upon the breath. And let's really notice this new breath that we've made. Notice the sound difference from the old, shorter, shallower breath. Notice how the breath feels for you. You can use this as a nice, assertive, grounding, present-centered, confidence-boosting breath. And notice too how the body moves with this breath, a bigger movement. lifting the shoulders and the fall of the body. So we've created a new rhythm by controlling our breath. And it's this rhythm that's actually associated with most of the biological and psychological benefits of mindfulness. So the more you can do this breath just at random times in the day, just 90 seconds, a couple of minutes of this breathing, really boosts you up. And the more obviously you use it before, during and after difficult moments becomes important. So when I teach people who are trainee social workers, we talk about using this before difficult conversations, during if we can, but then also afterwards to de-stress, to almost breathe away any tension. So you might want to try that for yourselves now as well. For the last few breaths, see if you can breathe away any tension you might be carrying right now. Again, if you've got your eyes closed, you can open them whenever you like. There's a couple of techniques, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and some mindful breathing. Like I say, you can shorten those up. Now you understand them from my guidance. You can change them up and contextualize them as much as you want for your own situation. But these are two very powerful in-the-moment techniques just to bring the mind right back to now, to ground us, to keep us in the present moment, and hopefully, particularly with that last one, to give us some assertiveness, some confidence to deal with whatever is the next thing that we have to deal with. So there's a couple of in-the-moment techniques. And like I say, there's a long list of those, and they're not too different to anything you do in a meditation. They're just shorter versions. So you'll see some familiarity when we get back there. In fact, we're going to use the breath again in a moment in the meditation. And the reason for that is because mindfulness meditation is a slightly different state than other forms of meditation. So with mindfulness meditation, we want to keep the mind in the active state. So we don't want it to wander away, basically. Don't worry if it does, and it probably will. Even after all these years, mind still wanders away. We are wired with a wandering mind. But what we need to do when we notice that it's wandered away is just simply bring it back to the breath, to noticing things around us like we did before, and then just picking up with the technique wherever we are in the meditation. So absolutely no judgment. You're not doing it wrong. The mind will wander. We let it go. We accept it. We bring it back when we can. So we want to keep the active mind with the mindfulness meditations, which is why we want to keep the deep breath, because that you certainly can't wander off when you're doing that big breath. Other forms of meditation, you might want to go into the wandering mind. Certainly transcendental meditation, or meditation where you use imagery, is a slightly different state than the mindfulness meditation that we're trying to get into today. So when we do meditations, obviously we're going to take a good 15 to 20 minutes today and really get into a deep state. So most people close their eyes. So if you're in a place where you can close your eyes, I recommend it, just because you're shutting out the visual information. But if not, if you want to keep your eyes open, best just pick a gaze somewhere, and we'll be focusing deep inside of ourselves anyway. And if at any time you need to open your eyes or just have a stretch, do whatever you need to do, that's fine. But we're going to start quite light, and then we're going to progressively get deeper and deeper into the meditation, and then we'll have some time at the end where we're going to simply try to sit in the deep state, and if and when the mind wanders, we'll just keep bringing it back as much as we can. So if you want to just get yourselves comfortable wherever you are today, I recommend sitting. Some people ask me, can you do mindfulness meditation lying down? Yes, you can, but don't be surprised if you fall off to sleep, which means that mindfulness is good for helping us to get to sleep. So if you want to use it for that, brilliant. But in the middle of the day, maybe having a nap is not appropriate at the moment. So nice seated position, nice upright posture. We're going to use the big breath, so you need to be upright for that. But also, if you start slumped, you're going to end up asleep. So just make sure we're nice and upright. Good. So if you'd like to close your eyes, please do so. If you don't want to, that's fine. But we did some in-the-moment techniques where we gathered the awareness from far and wide around us and then brought it together. So we'll do a similar thing now. It's always good to start a meditation that way. So let's go back to sound. Let's just notice the sounds that come and go in the next few moments. Are there some that are the same as before? And are there some that are different now? And so for me, the sounds are very similar, but there is a wood pigeon now in the background. The mind likes to notice different things. This is what we call novel distinctions. The mind will want to wander away, but if we give it new things to focus on as we just in a situation, it will wander away less. So we're going to take that on board as we go forward. Okay, let's just bring the mind more within ourselves. Just notice your position. I've just had a shuffle, so if you need to shuffle just to get a bit more relaxed, please do so. And then let's come in again, please. Let's go back to that natural breath. How is the body breathing now? Has it gone fully back to its natural rhythm? Is it a little bit deeper since we did the mindful breathing? Just notice the breath again. Accepting whatever we find. We don't need to interfere with it. We just notice its rhythm as it comes and goes. There are many good mindfulness meditations where you sit with the natural breath, but it is easier for the mind to wander with that technique. So we're going to move once again, please, into the mindful breath technique. So just like we did before, just a breath that's around 4 or 5 seconds on the in and 4 or 5 seconds on the out breath. And as we bring this breath to the moments, try to notice them like we did before. Notice the sound. Notice how it feels. Notice the movement of the body with the new rhythm that we've brought. And as we breathe this way, as we've brought this new rhythm to our being, let's try to relax into it. Let's try to let go of those things we don't need to be thinking about right now. The worries, the to-do lists, the tasks. Let's try to let go of all of that. Let's let go of any judgment or evaluation or commentary in the mind. We don't need that voice right now. We're watching, not listening. And let's try to bring some of the positive things we want with our mindfulness. Let's try to bring acceptance of ourselves, of anybody else around you, of each other, and of each moment as it comes and goes. Let's try to bring some compassion again on ourselves to begin with, but then sharing that as we're sharing the current situation all together, spreading compassion and empathy. And that gentle curiosity I talked about, which is simply trying to notice and be interested in things that happen moment to moment, a sound, a sensation, textures you feel, body part you feel. Just be interested in it. We don't need to analyze it. Just gently notice it and then let it go. Now, an important part of bringing the mindful mindset is giving ourselves permission to let go and to slow down. So try to do that now. Not only is it okay to give yourselves this time, it's actually very good for you. It means that you'll have more capacity to be there and to help other people if needed. Try to slow the mind, body, and emotions as much as you can, whilst keeping the awareness turned up high, and simply noticing the things that come and go moment to moment. And one of the crucial parts of a mindfulness meditation is also something you can do as an in-the-moment shorter version. It's called the body scan. And it's just concerned with focusing on different parts of the body and trying to release any tension that's stored up there. And there are much longer versions of this. There are much shorter versions today. We're just going to do one just to try to rid us of any tension before we have a few minutes of silence, just resting deeply in the state of mindfulness. So what I'd like to do, please, is just notice the lower half of your body. You might want to tense some muscles, lift your legs up, whatever you need to do. Wiggle some toes maybe. But just notice your bottom half of the body. And if there's anywhere that's got a little bit of tension, anywhere that's quite uncomfortable, even painful, mindfulness is good for that. What we can do is take our big breaths, and with the out breath, just try to let go of that tension and relax the part of the body as much as you can right now. Let's take 3 or so breaths now, just focusing on anywhere in the lower half of the body that we need to relax a little more. Be assertive with it, really. Let go of the tension. And then we can notice the upper half of the body. Particularly here, we've got the lower back and we've got the shoulders. These are 2 stores of stress and strain. We've also got the back of the neck, which is key. So just notice these areas, have a shuffle if you need to, rotate the shoulders, whatever you need to do. But again, let's take a few of our deep breaths. And with the out breath, let's try to let go of anything we're still carrying around. Trying to drop the shoulders, open the palms, and just relax the upper body too. Now, an often forgotten but important part of the body is the face. The facial muscles work hard for us in a day. They hold a lot of our emotions and tensions. So just notice the face, different sensations we can feel on the face, including the ears. But again, with our out breaths, let's try to relax the facial muscles, letting go of the tension. Letting go of any frowning or grimacing we might be doing. And then focusing upon the forehead area, please. Just breathing away any lingering headache, worry or tension we might have. And let's just notice whatever degree of relaxation we've managed to find. Let's be thankful for it. Let's appreciate it. Let's try to allow it to grow in the next few minutes that we've got. Now, if you've been with me before, or you've done a lot of mindfulness before, it's here that you might want to go and do some work on moving away and calming the mind down, getting into a more transcendental mindfulness state. If you've done that with me before and you want to try that now, great. But if you've not, all we're going to do is take 3 or 4 quiet minutes to try to rest into this state that we've found. Now the mind will wander and our worries will try to grab our attention. Our job is to keep the mindful breath rhythm as the center of our experience. If and when the mind starts to wander or worry, point it back at those neutral things we've been using today. And eventually it will pass and you'll just be able to settle back into this state. So I'll have a period of silence now where you can be fully embodied in the moment that's around you. Remember, our job is to notice these moments, be mindful of them, be present in them as an observer, as a witness. No analysis, no judgment, no changes needed. Let's just let moments come and go for the next few minutes. Good. I hope you managed to find just some mindful awareness and calm and presence in those few minutes that we had there. Now, if you join us for the weekly sessions, we'll be spending much longer in that deeper state that we did at the end there. But if it's your first time or you're relatively new to mindfulness, it's good to start slow and then build yourself up, particularly with the meditation, the deep meditation elements. But we need to bring ourselves out of the mindful state quite gently now. So in order to do that, I'm going to ask you just to focus back upon the breath once more, please. Maybe you kept the mindful rhythm, maybe it went back to its natural rhythm. That's fine, we'll accept it wherever it is. Can we all return back to the mindful breath now, please? Can we notice once again how this breath sounds, feels, and moves the body? And then whenever you're ready, simply take 3 slightly quicker breaths as you raise the level of your awareness back up to its normal state. Open the eyes when you're ready, have a stretch, a shuffle, a drink, whatever you need, your end.